Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 5 of Psylocke, written by Alyssa Wong, and art by Vincenzo Caratu. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. So with that said, this issue opens up where the last one left off, with Psylocke pinned up to the display surrounded by rare blue butterflies in the taxonomist's hideout in New York. And as she hung there, the butterflies under the taxonomist called out for her to wake up over and over again until Psylocke's eyes shot open. And as panic ripped through her mind, Psylocke's narration stated, "Is this a display board? What kind of sick joke is this? I can't move or access my psionic powers. There's some kind of paralytic poison in these needles. The same needles that are driven deep within her body." So as Psylocke's anger continued to grow, the taxonomist told her, "Don't worry, they'll heal around the pins, and soon you won't remember what it was like to exist without them." And for the life of the taxonomist, he couldn't understand why Psylocke wasn't happy. Because when it comes to the taxonomist, all he cared about was how pretty things could look. In fact, he went on to say, "I put so much care into curating this exhibit. You're a difficult person to track down, and your past is just as elusive. But I'm a patient man. I'm Ty Hanover, but people call me the taxonomist. It's lovely to finally meet you in person." A record of Psylocke across the ages. Discovering and piecing together your history is like archaeology. After spending so much time with it, I feel like I know you already. But that was when Psylocke shot back by saying, "You don't know anything about me," which was something Ty had no problem learning. But that was when Psylocke stated that being stabbed and poisoned isn't making me feel talkative. To that, the taxonomist replied by saying, "I suppose that's fair. I spent much of my childhood hooked up to needles and tubes, flooding my body with experimental chemical treatments. I was born with a rare genetic disease that left me with painful skin-splitting growths, a weakened body, and a fragile immune system. Most afflicted people die within the first few months of life. When I survived, my family sequestered me in a wing of the house, afraid that any exposure to the outside world would kill me. My only access to what lay beyond the walls of my home was through research. That was how I discovered there were others like me, creatures with naturally occurring mutations. Suddenly I was no longer alone." Now with that out there, Psylocke put 2 and 2 together and realized that because it was a genetic condition from birth that Ty wasn't a mutant but just an unlucky human. To that, Ty went on to say, "Life is fleeting, you know that more than most people." Now this led Psylocke to narrate, "I still can't move my body or tap into my powers. If I could just free one hand, then all would be good." But see, while Psylocke was slowly regaining her movement, she distracted Ty by saying that's why it's worth protecting. With that said, Ty was none the wiser and just kept talking, saying, "I agree. Is that the X-Man speaking or the assassin? Which role taught you the price of being alive? Those of us with mutations are treated with hate, fear, and disdain. We live in a world that wants to kill us in any way it can." So as Ty ripped a butterfly in half, Psylocke asked, "And how is your horror show supposed to fix that?" But see, that's the thing. Ty knew that there was no fixing the world. In fact, he went on to continue to say, "All I can do is preserve what I can, the delicate, the unique, the special. I create a record of their existence, the context in which they live. So not even death can erase us. The world despises us for what we are. But here, in my collection, they are loved. I take apart each specimen with the utmost care, inject them with preservatives, reassemble and pose them to display their essence to the fullest. No more hiding. They are nature's art, and they deserve to be worshipped." Now this infuriated Psylocke, because she shouted, "You've desecrated them, and they're mutilated." But to Ty they were perfect. And then he continued to say, "You will be too, once I have your other half, Betsy Braddock, the woman who wore your body like a glove for years. The first Psylocke. Your very existence is a miracle, 2 minds pulled apart and blended together, poured into each other's vessels. The most intimate identity crisis. Together you will be the jewel of my gallery." Now this pissed Psylocke off, because she was sick of being used. Sick of being a tool, a weapon, something to be discarded when it outlived its use. So as her power surged in her eyes, Psylocke stated, "I'm not an object. I'm not a jewel, flower, or a piece of art for you to collect." And on the next page, Psylocke does the unthinkable and fights through the needles and lets out a psionic attack and breaks free from her restraints and declares that she is an X-Man. And on a side note, I think this page looks great. Shout out to the artist. But anyway, Psylocke started to go in and completely disabled Ty's soldiers one by one. And while she did that, Psylocke stated, "I've spent so much time hiding from my past, trying to defeat my instincts. hoping to forge a future by burying what happened to me. No, with all Ty's creatures defeated, Psylocke approached the man and continued to say, I promised I wouldn't kill anymore, that I would be better than what people shaped me into. I was afraid that they were right about me. But here's the thing, I'm not better. I should kill you, it would be easy. I wouldn't make it lean, I would make it hurt. I would enjoy it, for a moment. But what would that really accomplish? It may stop you, but it won't bring those people back. You don't feel remorse for what you've done. So I will make you feel it. So as Psylocke drove her daggers into Ty's head, he ended up shouting out, this crushing pressure in my head, my chest feels like it's exploding and imploding at the same time. Oh God, I can't handle it, what did you do to me? To that Psylocke answered by saying, I'm giving you a present. Every emotion I've ever felt, my own and the ones I've pulled from other people's minds. And these emotions include loneliness, longing, terror, compassion, fury, heartbreak, elation, hatred, regret, and hope. And the crazy part about this is Psylocke was making Ty feel all these emotions at once. And once this massive upload was completed, Ty was completely broken and asked how did she manage to feel all these emotions. To which Psylocke replied by saying, most people do, it's not easy, but it's living. A traumatic past doesn't excuse your present actions. You don't have to be a mutant to understand that. Now I think you do. Following that, we then fast forward to the Xactory in Alaska with Psylocke getting medical treatment. And while she was there, Beast said, the puncture wounds will take some time to heal, but I've administered antibiotics and an antidote. You'll be all right. And as for Cyclops, he went on to tell Psylocke that she had one job and that was to take it easy. Which she differently didn't. In fact, Scott was toying around with having Psylocke take another vacation. But funny enough, Psylocke replied by saying, you wouldn't do that to an uninjured woman, would you? But anyway, Cyclops went on to say, I admire your drive, but you need to learn to take things in moderation, so once you're fully healed up, and not before that, I'll brief you on our next mission. We'll go once you're ready. But in the meantime, welcome back. Following that, we then transition over to John's cabin, and when we get there, we see the two lovers share a kiss while John cooked his rabbit stew. And on the next page, when she looked in the mirror, we got to see the internal conflict and Psylocke playing out as Betsy and Kwanon both appeared in the mirror before her. So with that said, this issue comes to an end with Psylocke's mind starting to fracture. But anyway, down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.